Alright. We're gonna do a tier list today. And a lot of this is pretty factual, just in the aspect that these killers are just super insane or super bad. This tier list is gonna be based on pressure. It's gonna be based on map control, downing patrol, or downing potential. Sorry. We're gonna start from the bottom. Actually, we're gonna start from the top. Top is easy. They are gonna be ranked from left to right, which is something a little bit different than I usually do. But every single killer is gonna be ranked from top to bottom to left to right. Number one killer, not much debate here. Nurse. Super oppressive. If you are good at Nurse, you are going to win 99% of your games. That's just what's going to happen. If you know how to blink, there's not much counter to it. At least not in medium gameplay. Competitive gameplay, there might be a little bit more counter, but I doubt it. I've never seen any counter to a good Nurse gameplay. Nothing even remotely close. Number two is a little bit tougher, right? I'm just going to put these two up here. These are the top three. Not really sure which is better. I want to say that Blight is probably better than Spirit, because he has faster gen patrol, he can break pallets with his ability, and Spirit actually does have quite a bit of counterplay, or at least mind games on both sides. Blight, you can't really mind game that much. Blight's just going to break every pallet. Blight also has a lot better add-ons. Add-ons should be considered in the tier list as well. And I think Blight is just better than Spirit. Blight can flick a lot like Oni. You can bounce off a wall and then curve really hard and then flick. You know, you don't have to do an extra bounce all the time for Blight. Sometimes you can just kind of swing and curve. That's really strong. Spirit, the only reason she's up here is because her add-ons are so good. You don't always understand exactly where the Spirit is coming from when she's phasing. And she's just super oppressive to even medium players. Competitive survivors, I think, will do a lot better against Spirit, so that's why Blight is higher. Like I said, Nurse has like zero gameplay when it comes to a decent Nurse. Like, if you face like a 7 or an 8 out of a 10 Nurse, you are completely screwed. 7 out of 10 Spirit, there's a little bit of counterplay, and maybe the survivors can get out. There's nobody else in S, because there's nobody else that just stands out and says, okay, this killer is amazing. This killer can kill everybody all the time, every game. There's just nobody else here that can do that. I think we're just gonna start dropping people. Trapper is like one of the worst killers in the game. I said we would start at the top. We kind of did, but we're not going top to bottom. We'll just start putting people down, and then we'll fix it. Wraith, I'm thinking C. Hillbilly, I'm thinking C. Myers, F tier. Unplayable. Needs love. Average. Good. Great. Breaks the game. This is usually what I put for my tier list. At least on killer strength. So, Hag is next. Probably going to be an A. Doctor's pretty average. Huntress is great. Bubba is pretty average. Now, OTZ has Freddy like somewhere crazy like A or B, but the truth is, besides his teleporting, his abilities are terrible. He's sort of like a clown that can teleport, and that is still not very good. I'm sorry, but OTZ has a lot of strange opinions about a lot of things. Like, as far as Ott's tier list and my tier list so far, our top 5 are relatively the same. But, like, he had, like, Freddy in A or B, and it's just completely unrealistic. You know, he has more games than me, but, I think he tries so hard just to stand out and be different, and, you know, like, nobody plays Freddy Cougar. It's not because he is, like, you have to pay to get him. I mean, that's not it, because when Freddy came out, everybody played him. Everybody played him until he got nerfed, and now nobody plays him. There's just no reason to even consider Freddy a good just because he can teleport. His fake palettes are bad. Most of his add-ons are terrible. He does have a few good... Freddy does have a few good add-ons where he can teleport back to gens. Faster for everybody in the dream world. That's pretty good, but other than that, his add-ons are terrible. You know, Freddy only has, what, 5 traps or 7 fake pallets or something now, and that's just not enough. They over-nerfed Freddy, they nerfed his add-ons, they nerfed his lunge, they nerfed his... I think they did something to his teleport, like, he's just bad now. I mean, he's not bad, but, honestly, he is kind of bad, but his teleport makes it so he has plenty of map control, and with Pop Tinker, Freddy is not the worst. But there's no way that he's way up here SAB. Not a chance. Now, a lot of people might not agree, but I think Pig is relatively good. Pig might not even go up to B for me. I do think that Pig is definitely better than Freddy, but we'll fix the tier list later. More. Clown. I'm thinking something like this at the moment. Let's just keep moving. Legion is probably C. Plague. Again, like, OTZ puts Plague at A tier, and I'm just thinking there is just no way in hell, right? Every time I play Plague, it is a super sweaty game, especially with MMR turned on. Plague is just completely insane now. It's insanely bad. I mean, she is terrible. Against moderate survivors, you're probably going to win because moderate survivors won't know what to do, but, you know, you get 7 or 8 out of 10 survivors, and it's a complete sweat match with Plague. because they're going to insta cleanse, and the only way to counter the insta cleanse by the survivors is to insta corrupt, and you have to keep grabbing corrupts while staying in chases, and that is extremely difficult. Plague does have a lot of pressure on gens. You can get everybody sick really fast, but her main problem is her corrupt purge. If somebody is looping around walls, like, you are completely screwed, because the survivor comes around. You're like, oh, let me try to corrupt. He turns the corner. Let me try to corrupt. He turns the corner. I think OTZ is completely overestimating the plague just based on some crappy survivors he's been facing, or average. But against good players, the plague is absolutely useless. Or if she's not useless, she is very, very sweaty. Your brain has to be all the way there. You can't just chill with plague. It's not a thing. Um, because the plague has such versatile gameplay based on what survivors do. And, I was a plague main for like 6 months. I played nothing but like plague and like Deathslinger for the most part. Plague has a lot of issues, especially against like survive with friends or people that actually know what they're doing. Always cleanse against plague, because if you don't, everybody's injured, and she'll just grab a corrupt and down everybody, and the game is over. Always grab fountains against plague, because if the survivors grab 6 fountains before the plague can grab 1, then the fountains reset and she only has 1 left. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but that's another reason that plague is weak. She doesn't have infinite fountains, and as soon as I believe it's 6 fountains. As soon as the survivors get 6 fountains ahead of the plague that's trying to grab as many corrupts as she loses most of her fountains, and it's back to 1. There's just tons of plague counterplay. Grab fountains on the opposite side of the map of the generators, or super far away from the generators. For that reason, plague is not A tier. I'm sorry, Otz, but with half decent counterplay, plague is just, she's terrible. I mean, terrible compared to the top of the food chain. She's just not even close. Plague also has not very much map pressure. She can puke on gens, but I've seen survivors that literally get themselves sick just so they can insta cleanse and get closer to resetting the fountains. Like, if you have people playing like that, you're kind of screwed. Too much counterplay to have the plague anywhere near the top. Way too much counterplay. Ghostface, I've been playing him a lot lately. Again, I think he's going to get a little bit criticized. I might get a little bit criticized for this, but I think Ghostface is somewhere in this area. He's relatively easy to reveal, but it seems like most survivors don't actually know how to reveal him, especially if he has add-ons to make it harder to reveal. And Ghostface add-ons are really good, most of them. He has add-ons to recover a shroud faster, so he can stock more often. He has add-ons for stocking faster, like the bar for the stock will go faster. He has add-ons for how long a survivor can stay marked. Survivors can stay marked for quite a long time with those add-ons. You can leave survivors stocked at 99%, which is really good. If you just stock everybody to 99, or 2 or 3 people, and then you start chasing one. You down that person. Oh, that person's right behind you trying to flashlight. You hook them, turn around, you stalk that person, and all of a sudden you have insane pressure. Ghostface is not going to work against good survivors. Sorry. He's an M1 killer. M1 killers struggle against really good survivors because they know how to loop and they know how to jungle gym. And that's why Wraith is not at A tier like a lot of people think. It's all because of jungle gems and windows. Because if you go against a good survivor, it could take you 2 or 3 minutes to down somebody, especially if yourself are not a good wraith per se. You go against a good survivor, you're pretty screwed because they know exactly how long it takes you to uncloak unless you have add-ons, and it's just a match back and forth when you're playing wraith, right? You're trying to predict what the killer's doing, and the killer's trying to predict what the survivor's gonna be doing. It's just a prediction match, and the survivors usually win those kinds of matches. Wraith is just he's an M1 killer, an M1 killer struggle. There are a few exceptions, and I'm sure we'll get to those soon. Demogorgon, I think he's just too hard to play for most players. His teleports are really slow, and the add-ons just aren't worth it. The fact that your portal only shows where survivors are if you have them activated. Well, if the portals are activated, then they can just destroy your portals. So that aspect is not very good for Demogorgon. He can break pallets very fast, so he's like better than most of these guys. We'll just slap that there. Oni is great. Tons of map control. Again, against good survivors, Oni might struggle because M1 killer temporarily. It really depends on how long your first chase or two is going to be, whether or not you're going to win the game. Oni's late game power is just insane, and there's a lot of blood. You can keep charging his ability over and over. Is he better than Huntress? Probably not. I'll think about it a little bit. Deathslinger, he's just a 1v1 god. If you're warmed up and your hands are ready to go and you're good at quick scoping, meaning just zooming in and shooting as fast as you can with Deathslinger, if you're good at that, you're going to crush even competitive players with Deathslinger. The only hope for survivors is they stay around a window, and I mean, even staying around a window is just not good. They have to loop around walls. There's not a ton of counterplay to Deathslinger, to be honest. The reason that he's not S or A tier is because he cannot patrol gens fast enough, can't get around the map. Not very good in a 1v4 situation. Deathslinger can't just down everybody instantly like Oni or Nurse, Blight Spirit. They have so much mobility that they can just down everybody pretty much all at once. Deathslinger does not have that, but he is probably one of the best 1v1 machines. Probably second place to Nurse. Nurse, 1v1 master. Deathslinger, pretty much also a 1v1 master. But he has no mobility to get to gens, and for that reason, he's just not as good as top tier killers. Pyramid Head. OTZ put him like at A tier or something on his newest tier list, and that is a complete joke. Pyramid Head takes forever to charge up his ability, and there's no add-ons for that. And that is just a problem. Pyramid Head does counter Decisive Strike, but you have to infect people with your barbed wire, and good survivors are not just going to run into that. His ability takes too long to charge, and like he's 100% prediction champion or killer champion. Sorry, he's 100% prediction killer. You have to be able to predict what the survivors are going to do. Uh, Honestly, I don't even think he's better than Wraith. I highly doubt it. Uh, I wanted to put him in B tier, but it's like he's not really better than these people. I'm gonna put Wraith above Demogorgon. Again, we'll go over all this again and see if I want to change anything. But Wraith is solid, and for whatever reason, survivors just don't do that good against Wraith because he's stealth and he can come right behind you and ring the bell, and people just aren't used to that. Even at, higher ranges of survivor, they still struggle just with the here I am kind of thing. But we'll get to that. But Pyramid Head, he's just not that good. It's good against survive with friends with flashlights, and you can just put them in a cage if they're infected. That aspect is okay. It's not great. Um, the thing is, like, what perks do you use on Pyramid Head, right? You have no map control, so Ruin sucks. Pop sucks because, like, if you infect survivors, you don't want to pick them up to use pop. You want to use cages or vice versa. Maybe you want your pop and you don't want a cage, and it's like you're wasting your ability. Or you can save your ability to the end to just execute them like some Pyramid Head players do. They try to infect every survivor and just execute them, after their second hook. And that's fine, but, I I just don't understand why Pyramid Head would be that high. OTZ, he swore, Pyramid Head, good, put him in A tier. And it's like, yeah, not really. Pyramid Head has a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Um, in fact, I'm probably going to put him somewhere in this area. King Region. Thanks for the Prime Gaming sub. Appreciate it. Just doing a killer tier list right now. Twins. Very good. I thought Twins was one of the best killers, but it came to my understanding that she's been nerfed a lot in the last year or so. Like Victor's recovery speed after downing a survivor takes like 7 seconds or something. 7 seconds is forever in a video game. So yeah. Um, let's see. Victor can no longer see auras when you're running around with him. That was a hard nerf. They just thought Victor was too strong, being able to see Tinker and Discordance and auras of totems on Undying, so they nerfed. But Twins is still fairly good. If everybody's injured, Victor's gonna go in and down everybody, or at least he has the ability to do that. I've done it many times. Reminds me of the time I had one hook on Haddonfield, but all the survivors were injured and they were playing very altruistic. I took Victor and I downed everybody and I won the game, even though I only had one hook with like one gen left or two gens left. Snowball potential is very good. This is just the base tier list we're doing right now. Then I'm going to go back and fine tune it a little bit. Uh, we're almost done kind of getting all the killers on the tier list. Nemesis is very bad. Not really sure where to put him right now, but we'll get to it. Nemesis's whip, it takes 3 whips to down somebody. First, you have to infect them, or they get infected by zombies, and then you have to whip them 2 more times. And a lot of killer mains want the Nemesis whip to be buffed, where it's only 2 whips to down somebody. Then he would actually be worth playing against tougher survivors. Nemesis has no map control. And his zombies are always stuck somewhere or bugged. But Nemesis does have that. Like, zombies can kind of show where survivors are. And that's the good thing about Nemesis. But, like, it's tough to do, even think about perks to put on Nemesis, because if you have Ruin, you have no map control to, like, get over to those gens. If you have Tinker, if you're on the wrong side of the map, it'll just pop because he's so slow. Uh, he's very good at like pallets and windows if you're going against medium survivors or weak survivors and they just vault. It's a free whip. But unfortunately, the whip kind of gives them a boost even if it doesn't injure them, which is kind of shit. Trickster. Trickster still has too many issues. And the most recent buff, they buffed like 3 things and nerfed like 20. Uh, Oblivious Oblivious Survivor mains are gonna say, Trickster's so good and all that. It's just like you don't really know what you're doing, man. If you do wall loops pretty much with most of these killers, this Trickster cannot do anything. He has no movement speed, he cannot keep up with you. Um, Trickster is very good at camping hooks though, but like so was Bubba. Bubba is better at camping hooks than Trickster, so like Trickster does have a little bit of potential just to down everybody instantly if he has his main event, but like they nerfed his daggers. Well, I mean if you have main event, like it seems like the time on main event is still too short. Like you can maybe down one person, especially if they're not that experienced and they're not trying to dodge daggers. Somebody running in a straight line, you can down them pretty much instantly. Uh, but if they're trying to loop or crouch, it takes several seconds off main event, and I think Trickster still struggles. He struggles a lot, especially trying to get around the map. You can't use Ruin on Trickster. He's just too slow. If you use Pop on Trickster, well then you have to kick the gen, you have to reload the locker, and it takes forever. So like what perks do you even use on Trickster? You can't even use slowdowns. So yeah, that's kind of a pain in the ass. Like what do you do with Trickster? What perks do you use on Trickster? You can't use anything because everything is so weak. You want to use Devour Hope? Well, what if Devour Hope gets cleansed? Or if you have Undying Devour Hope, like a lot of these Trickster mains are running, like, what if they get cleansed? You just lose the game. And, like, obviously Trickster mains are a lot better at Trickster than I am, but, like, I have to use troll builds on Trickster because I literally cannot think of any perks that would actually benefit Trickster. I use Iron Grasp, Agitation, and Mad Grit with Iron Maiden. That's what I do. I like to reload faster, and I hope to God that the survivors are terrible enough for me just to chase them down while I'm carrying another survivor. Uh, I hope to get lucky with Trickster. Uh, he's too slow. He can't chase survivors at all. If the survivor's in an open area, sure you have a good chance, but like it's it's ugly. Uh, Pinhead, Pinhead. If he had no bugs right now, I think he'd be pretty good. Better than Plague. We're gonna start trying to fix our tier list to the best of our ability now. These three are right. These are debatable a little bit. I think this is pretty accurate. Huntress is just super disgusting to play with her insanely large hitbox. If you're going against a good Huntress, you're in big trouble. Um, let's see. Pinhead might go up to B. We'll see. But Hillbilly has map control, but he's just a weaker Oni. Why would you ever play Hillbilly when you can just play Oni? That's significantly better. And you can have add-ons that gets Oni's power up faster up, and like it's just better than Billy, even though he can use his ability all the time. Used because like Oni can flick a lot better, and he can use his ability freely, and he can roam without overheating once he actually gets enough blood orbs to activate the ability. Uh, the flicking is just too much of a difference. And the add-ons for Oni that can make him faster when he's using his ability is just really strong. uh, Hillbilly just struggles. There's no way that Hillbilly is better than Wraith. Probably not better than Demogorgon. He might not even be better than Doctor. I highly doubt it. I'm starting to feel a little more confident. Maybe put that guy there for a minute. So, worst killer in the game is Trapper. Um, if survivors see where your traps are or they guess where they are and they disarm them, it takes forever to rearm them. And you could use Iridescent, but they're really hard to get add-ons in your blood webs. And like, if you have to use the Iridescent add-on just to make a killer viable, he's still not viable. Should be able to use other add-ons. Trapper has his good moments. He can snowball really hard. Um, if there's like 3 survivors left or even 4, everybody can get trapped and you can go down them all or pick them up relatively fast. And he can keep survivors injured a lot if you have a lot of unpredictable traps. But I literally cannot put Trapper above any other killer in the game. So for that reason, why even bother playing Trapper? Especially if you want to win. Why bother even playing Trapper? Uh, his snowball is better than Clown's, but Clown's chasing ability is just better, especially at loops. Um, and Clown can reload his ability, and the ability is consistently there. Um, let's see. This is fine. This is fine. Is Trickster better than Myers? I kind of doubt it. Trickster is slow. Slow is bad. That's all I can say about it. Like, is he better than Nemesis? Yeah, yeah. Like, I feel like this is somewhat accurate. Maybe Nemesis will go up a tier. Is Ghostface better than Bubba? Bubba can camp hooks, but like, how much of a deciding factor can that be? Like, if Bubba's on a hook, he, that survivor can never get saved. But despite what people think about Bubba and all that, not every Bubba face camps the hook. So it's somewhat unreasonable to think Bubba should be higher up. Bubba's really good against basements. Like, if he hooks somebody in the basement and then he goes around patrol gens, oh, somebody's getting unhooked from basement, he's relatively close. Well, he can down both of those survivors and put them both back on the basement. But if that happens, it's because the survivor messed up and saved way too early. If a survivor's in the basement or a Bubba is face camping, don't just watch him face camp. Go and finish a gen and leave the game. Win the game. Because if Bubba is sitting there for 90 seconds or however long it takes for a survivor to die on hook, you can finish all the gens and leave. That's what survivors just don't get. Um, Bubba is just. He's pretty bad at looping, but he got a decent buff where his collision is a lot less. So if you use your ability and you start chainsawing around, you don't hit walls as easily. So that can be really good. But I put him barely above Pig just because like Pig is she has stealth when she's crouching. She can really surprise, and Pig is somewhat good on easier loops or medium loops. Uh, and the bear traps that you put on survivors' heads, really slows the game down. However, I don't think Pig is better than Legion. Legion has a lot of pressure and can complete, and honestly, it can demoralize the survivors a lot, right? If you just keep frenzying everybody, they're gonna get exhausted, like mentally. They're like, oh my god, Legion, frenzy, 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 we're always injured, what do we do? It can really get into a survivor's head. Um, is he better than Bubba? Or they? Are they better than Bubba? I think the fact that Norwegian has so many different add-ons and like you can increase the frenzy duration and increase the mending duration. I think Legion is probably better. Legion does struggle, like once you get everybody injured or whatnot, and then you try to chase somebody, Legion turns into an M1 killer. Pressure's not great. I mean, the pressure's not great when you're trying to 1v1 somebody. Um, Survivor's gonna loop and loop and loop and drop a pallet and loop and loop and loop and jump a window and loop and drop a pallet. But the whole point is that all the survivors stay injured long enough for Thanaphobia to kick in, or just so they're easier to down later, or so they um, heal a lot. All right, so who else is kind of debatable up here? Billy is not better than Doctor because if you face a good Doctor, you are doomed. Uh, he shocks windows perfectly and shocks pallets perfectly. You have to pre-drop pallets, and Doctors can adapt to that. But if you don't drop the pallets, he's going to shock you on the pallets, and it's pretty much a free hit if he knows what he's doing. Um, you have to vault or pallet drop as fast as you can against the doctor. The doctor knows you're doing that. He's going to adapt and go around the corners a little faster. He's going to be able to kind of predict what you're doing faster. Doctor is very strong. I mean, like, relatively. At least in 1v1, he's relatively strong, especially if you know what you're doing. Doctor is pretty good at 1v4 because he has that AoE static blast. So if you get everybody in tier 3 madness, and let's say you have Hex Ruin, well, all the gens are going to start, digressing, and they have to snap out of tier 3 madness. Doctor's add-ons, honestly, I think Doctor is closer up here. Because Doctor's add-ons alone make the game really annoying. He's one of the worst killers to go against just because he literally drives you crazy in game and in real life. It's like, oh my god, the Doctor add-ons and the add-ons that give you a heartbeat no matter where you are, a terror radius, can really drive you crazy. Um, Out of all killers, like, these are my least favorite to go against. I hate going against the nurse. I hate going against Legion, even though, Legion's not that great, but it's just really annoying to mend and heal all the time. And I absolutely despise going against Doctor. Tier 3 Madness and all the crazy add-ons he can have. Skill checks are going backwards. Reverse order. Reverse counterclockwise. Well, not reverse counterclockwise. Clockwise and counterclockwise, and things always changing. And Doctor, I'd like to put him in B tier, but he's actually extremely difficult to play. At least in a 1v1 situation where you have to shock and try to mind the game of Survivor. And once you know what you're doing, Doctor is really strong, but I think it takes a long time to get to be able to get to that ability. Let's talk about Pinhead a little bit. By the way, I don't think there's anybody else that's strong enough to go and beat here. We're going to talk about Pinhead, Deathslinger, a little more, and Nemesis. So let's start with Deathslinger, actually. Deathslinger, like I said, 1v1 god. If the Deathslinger can see you and he has if he can see any part of your body, he can shoot you. Because, it takes about a half a second to aim and shoot. Just like quickscoping and like Call of Duty or Fortnite, he does the same thing. Aims, shoots, and you're basically at minimum gonna get injured. If you're already injured, then there's a little bit of counterplay to Deathslinger. You want to put walls in between you and the Deathslinger, or boxes, or windows, or, well, not windows, but pallets. Anything you can put between you and the Deathslinger is good, but if you make any kind of mistakes, or if you end up blocking a window out because you vault too many times, the Deathslinger is just gonna catch you. He's gonna see a little piece of your clothing at some point when he's rounding a corner. He's gonna shoot you, and you're gonna be in trouble. Like I said, he's a 1v1 god, probably the second best 1v1 killer in the game. Especially if you're going against the best Deathslinger ever, you're in trouble. They're gonna hit long range shots. They're gonna know exactly when to shoot, and they're gonna know exactly how to pull you around the corners before the chain breaks. Reason that people don't play Deathslinger as much is because he has no ability to get to gens, and right now that's extremely important because gens are just going way, 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 way too fast. So there's no way that Deathswinger makes it to A tier. Um, in fact, I kind of want to put Doctor up here because he can stop gens even in long range sometimes, especially if he has distressing or add-ons to increase his terror radius for a static blast. Pinhead. If Pinhead was not bugged, I think he'd be very good because right now, his lunge is bugged and his chains. Like people can say whatever they want, but let's talk about it, right? PTB, his chains weren't working. When Pinhead came out, his chains were doing very well, and as soon as the very next patch came out, his chains went back to not working. That is a shadow nerf. I don't care if it's on the patch notes. I don't care what anybody else has to say about it. But the devs probably did this on purpose. They nerfed his chains so they were back to PTB standards or right around there. Because when you chain somebody, they're not staying down very long anymore. In some circumstances, they're chained for like 1 second, half a second, and sometimes you're losing ground when using Pinhead's ability. You should never, ever, ever lose ground if you use Pinhead's ability and it hits the survivor. It's a very hard skill shot, one of the hardest in the game. And if you hit this ability, there's no reason that there should be a negative effect to it, no matter what. No matter where the survivor is, there should not be a negative effect to it. Oh, I hit the survivor with an insanely hard skill shot, and now I can't chase them because they're out in 1 second. Like, mark my words, but Pinhead was fine when on initial release. He was. He was fine. I chained people. They weren't breaking out very easy, but now it's going to about 50-50. 50% of the time the chains work, 50% of the time they don't work very well. And it's like why? Why did you have to nerf the killer? Why? I don't understand. You didn't have to do that. Like Pinhead like I understand nerfing some of the things they did, but why the chains? Why mess with chains? It's okay for killers to be strong. It is okay. Because survivors complain, oh, we only see Nurse, Blight, and Spirit in every single one of our games. You only see those killers because they're the only killers that can actually do something against strong survivors, basically. I mean, with the exception of like A tier as well. Uh, Pretty much B tier and below have no chance against good survivors. Zero. Great survivors, I'll say. They have no chance against great survivors. Uh, unless you are the best, in the top half a percentile. I won't even say top 1% because that's a stretch. Top 1% can still not handle great survivors. That's just the thing. Uh, Top half a percentile. If you're in that top half percentile, maybe you can go against virtually anybody that isn't competitive. But these killers just struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle against great survivors. They do. Um, Pinhead, you might be worse than Doctor right now just because your chains do not always work. Maybe you're worse than Wraith. I might put Pinhead down further if they don't actually fix the chains, or maybe I'm crazy and maybe the chains do work. I'll test it more, but Pinhead's brand new. It's kind of hard to say where he belongs, but I would say somewhere right there. I just don't think he's better than Wraith. I don't want to put Wraith in B tier because he's an M1 killer and he has his chase potential is pretty terrible. But like I'm to the point where like what do we do here, right? All of these killers chase potentials are terrible. Every single one of them. Uh, I'm very hesitant to put Plague any higher. Maybe ahead of Bubba. Uh, I'm just not sure where Pinhead belongs right now. So let's talk a little bit about Michael Myers, right? Michael Myers, he has some interesting add-ons, Tombstone and everything like that. But like, if you don't use Tombstone, and plus there's a counter for Tombstone, right? If Michael Myers has Tombstone, or you suspect, and you jump in a locker, he can't Tombstone you. Jump in a locker, he pulls you out of the locker, and he can't Tombstone you because he has to be standing up. You have to be standing up to Tombstone. Infinite Tier 3 takes a long time to get. If you're playing against good survivors, they'll probably have Spine Chill, and yeah, you'll never get Tier 3, or Infinite Tier 3. Um, Michael Myers has a terrible time chasing people. His lunge is pretty good in Tier 3, but that's about it. A good lunge is not saying much. Uh, if you use Michael Myers with Play With Your Food, but you can't find your obsession, then you're still in trouble. But if you do find your obsession, it does pretty good. Um, but, if you stipulate situations for every killer, then they can, all killers can be good in certain situations. Uh, let's see, what have we not talked about? And like, if you're going against like four people with spine chill, you might take 2 or 3 minutes just to get to tier two Myers, where you get increased lunge. I think you get increased movement speed. It might take a while. So I think you need too many variables to go right for Michael Myers to be good. Um, in fact, I think Trickster might be better than Michael Myers. Is Trickster better than Nemesis? Probably not, because Nemesis moves at normal movement speed. Clown. Clown, you have to be very skilled to play Clown. The problem is, if you play very skilled with Clown, you still don't have map mobility, and that's a problem. Any killer that doesn't have map mobility is at an extreme disadvantage, regardless of how other people feel. Anybody that doesn't have map mobility, yikes. That's why there's only, one killer in the top 7 I have here that doesn't have map mobility, and that's Huntress, because her hitboxes are huge. But Clown, you can't use your speed up potions to get around the map because it's been tested and it's been looked at hundreds, thousands of times. And if you use your speed up bottles to get around the map, you're losing time by reloading, and you might need more potions to throw your toxin to slow survivors. And when you get around loops slowing survivors, you have to be really good at using both potions. Because if you slow the survivor and they just stay on a pallet, and it's a safe pallet, you're never going to get them. You have to break the pallet, even if you slow them. There's just no way around it. But if you use the slow potion and the fast potion, that gets very complicated. and you slow the survivor and you use the fast one to speed yourself up, but you have to try not to speed up the survivor if they slide over the pallet, and it's mind-numbing mess. Clown's one just pretty short. Uh, his add-ons are pretty good. If you use the pinky finger add-on, which is if you hit a survivor directly with a bottle, they become exposed. That's good. It actually makes the killer somewhat balanced. If you're going against medium or maybe bad survivors, then it makes them really OP. But you know, Pinky Finger, I played against good survivors a while ago, and I got 3 of them, I think. I can't remember who they were, but they were streamers and moderately big. I used Pinky Finger on a cold wind farm map. That map is okay for Clown just because there's not a bunch of pallets and all that to go through. Uh, it was one with a house in it. I forget what it's called. The big house. And it went relatively well for me. 3 kills or whatever. I think I devour. Yeah, I think I was running Pinky Finger. No, it wasn't Devour. Yeah, maybe I was running Pinky Finger and Devour Hope to be a little meme. I think that's the only reason I got 3 people that game. They had a lot of pressure. But anyways, Clown struggles. He just struggles, and you have to be very good, and then you don't struggle quite as much, and you see people like Sexy Hexy playing Clown. But the thing is about Sexy Hexy playing Clown is that he camps, and he tunnels, and he slugs, and if you do that with any killer, it brings your odds of winning way up. Um, Also, Sexy Hexy has like 5,000 hours or 6,000 hours. Not everybody has 6,000 hours in DBD, and not everybody has the time to play 6,000 hours of DBD. Just the fact that he says that Clown is good is kind of insulting. Clown struggles. And don't take the F unplayable too seriously. It's just kind of how I feel. If you play against like 6 or 7 out of 10 survivors, Trapper and Clown, yikes, it's not good. Uh, little refresher on Trickster, super struggles a lot. His movement speed is too low. You can't get to gens, and you have to be super accurate with your knives, and for some reason you have to aim more ahead instead of directly, maybe due to latency. Nemesis is not as good as some people think. No map mobility. Uh, Zombies get stuck. He has like 2 or 3 good add-ons. Zombie movement speed doesn't seem to do much. His iridescents are terrible. What else? What else? Let's go to Freddy. Just a 10-second bit. Freddy is really good with Pop Tinker or Ruin Tinker. Really good. Uh, but yeah, his actual ability for snares and pallets are absolute shit. He's only in Seer because of his teleport. If his teleport was any worse than it was, he'd probably be at F tier. Notice how nobody in the D and F tier has mobility, not one. So who else? Pyramid Head is all about guessing games, and It's just not optimal because if a survivor plays very, very bad, you can still miss them because you're predicting them to do something very good. So there's no way that Pyramid Head is at A or B or whatever OTZ said. Same with Plague. She can be very good, but every single game I play with Plague is absolutely sweaty because getting corrupt purge on a good survivor is tough. It's tough. Let's see. Plague has a lot of good things going for her, a lot of bad things going for her, but she struggles. I want to put Plague like right here, maybe. Is Plague better than Legion? Uh, Legion is not as sweaty, at least not for me. Oh, I was thinking about something OTZ said about Plague passively like injuring survivors, but the thing is, it's not super realistic because they should be instant cleansing every time. It's kind of debatable where this killer should go. Maybe right here. Uh, Legion's fine though. Legion is not the worst killer in the game because injuring people is very strong. And Legion's add-ons are extremely strong. Some of the best add-ons in the entire game. Very good. What else? What else about Legion? Legion is the best killer in the game with Thanophobia. Uh, Legion is an M1 killer, so Surge is great and oppressive. Legion's gonna struggle on two-story maps, like Midwich and stuff like that. But still not too bad. Legion is a little bit map dependent, and that's why they are C. Um, Pinhead can be really oppressive with his box and chain hunts. That's kind of why he's where he's at. It's better than Demogorgon? Probably not. It's better than Billy? Probably. Ghostface is not as bad as you think because honestly, I'm just destroying people with Ghostface right now. You can hide behind a box and you can stalk people, and if they're trying to reveal you, you hide behind the box or log or pallet, and you keep peeking out so they can't reveal you, and you can stalk them all the way. Makes them pretty powerful. One-shot killers are good. I mean, relatively. Ghostface is better than Michael Myers because he's stealth. Ghostface can be stealth. Basically a better Myers. Um, Makes him better than Bubba. Stealth is important, especially if you're not in a chase. Also, the other survivors won't be able to body block accurately because they won't know where you're at if you're not revealed while you're chasing others. Everybody at the top is pretty accurate here. Huntress is better than Oni just because her downing people potentially is really good. You don't have to wind up the hatchet all the way. You just kind of lob it out there. Big hitbox. Huntress is a 1v1 god. Oni struggles a little bit 1v1 just because of when he uses ability, it's hard to get around corners. Harder. And that's about it. I've talked about just about everybody. Trapper is rough because you have to keep resetting your traps, and that takes a lot of time, and people are doing gens. That's about it. Uh, what I notice here, there's a lot of average-ish killers that, will never see competitive play kind of thing. Just because they struggle so hard, don't do that much compared to the others. This is about, this is it. This is my tier list. Blah, blah, blah. Thanks for listening, watching.